Do me a favor, bro. Hold this L.
Hold this L.
Hold this L.
Welcome to a brand new season of Hold This L. This is your host, Cappel, and I'm with my other host, Lonnie. How you doing, man? What's going on? What's popping?
What up, bro? Man, excited for a new season. Been itching at this for a couple of weeks. So, man, we got football back. I mean, who's not excited about that? Ready to talk about my 49ers, ready to get into a lot of this stuff, man. I'm just excited to be back on the air. What about you, bro? What's been going on?
Man, I'm good. I needed this 2 weeks, 2 months of rest. A
Yeah.
lot going on. Me being in this education, all this COVID and everything, just everything. I didn't even want to get into that part of it, but I needed this time to relax and get my mind focused. And I am very focused. We got football back. The best time of the year, in my opinion, is football season, especially at the beginning. It's something about football season, man. Like I love basketball. I love baseball, but the beginning of the football season is nothing like it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I feel
Absolutely.
like, and even though we 2 weeks in, this is still the beginning. We fantasy is just getting kicked off. I mean, and we just really getting things going in the NFL, like starting to really see what things gonna look like. So I'm ready to get it going, man. I'm ready to get it going.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so let's go ahead and get started. We got
Let's
two
go.
weeks. We got 2 weeks of NFL football, and just in general, what's your thoughts on this season so far?
Um, for the most part, a lot of it's kind of the teams that you expected to start off well and do well. Um, have started out well. I mean, there's a couple of surprises out there, but for the most part, the season has kind of started the way I think most of us expected it to, with a couple of surprises. But other than that, I mean, everything we see and everything we watch, and I think in week one, a lot of teams started out a little slow. You people trying to get their identity and try to figure things out. But you saw more of what teams are going to be or could possibly be coming into week two, in my opinion. And of course, we'll dive into that. But I feel like everything that we're watching, the only surprise that I've seen, which, well, the one team that I thought I was like, oh, they look bad, but then they come out the next week and it's just a perfect, just a example, is like the Green Bay Packers and the Tennessee Titans also. Both of them came out week one and you like, I thought they were gonna be better. And then you
Yeah,
saw in week two, okay, this is what I expected last week. So when you just getting started, it's kind of hard to judge or see what these teams are going to look like, what's going on, because it's still got a lot of COVID stuff going on. So it's still going to take a little time for teams to settle in, find their identity, everybody get 100% healthy. But for the most part, it's been what I expected.
yeah. I mean, it's for the most part, it's still early. It's a
You're
lot of
right.
stuff going on. We're gonna talk about surprises a little bit later, so I'm not gonna jump into some things that surprised me. But just in general, one of the things that I have noticed about the season is some really, like, a lot of injuries real quick, and it makes me wonder, like, are the teams, as we get smarter with technology and we start looking at practices and we start looking at data and trends, it's making me wonder if the decision to go to, like, no pads in practices, or only using pads for a certain amount of days, or not really hitting in practice like they used to, is that what's causing the injuries? Because yes, we know that there were injuries in practices. There's always injuries in practices, but I feel like it prepares you for the game more when you're able to go, not full out, not like hitting like you're in the game, but hitting. Like, I feel like I don't even know if what I'm saying is right. It's just making me look at, while we're so advanced with our technology and practices and training and all the things we know, if it seems like people are getting injured at an alarming rate, and you would think that people wouldn't be getting injured as much as they used to in the past. So, because I just kind of noticed that, Tua being out, McCaffrey just got hurt, and I can't think of other people off the top of my head. Andy Dalton's out, but there's more, you know what I'm saying? So,
Oh yeah.
besides, but besides
Well,
that, everything you said was right on the money. The first 2 weeks, I mean, exciting, everything that I was expecting. Yeah, and go ahead, jump in.
yeah, I got to throw this in there. And as soon as you said Christian McCaffrey, I was already thinking about this and I was already going to say it. And then when you brought that up, it made me just want to point it out even more. This is what I feel about Christian McCaffrey. That was coaching, very much coaching. First of all, he had 24 carries for 72 yards against the Saints. That's not including the receptions he had also. The touches. He's had more touches than any other running back in the first 2 weeks, leading the league in total yards in the first 2 weeks. You're up 26-7 on the Saints. And you got a Thursday night game coming up in 4 days. Why is he still in the game getting the ball in the fourth quarter with you up 26-7 with 3 or 4 minutes left? When you know you got a game coming right back around, and then you shocked when he pull a hamstring in week 3 on 4 days of rest after getting having the most touches out of any other running back and leading the league in total yards. You surprised when he get it. It's called overworking somebody, an overload.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to know when to fold them. You up 26-7. Get him out the game. Let a big back, your second string or whoever it is, come in and run that ball. Let him rest. I mean, it's a common sense thing. You got to know what you're working with. Tua just got busted up. I mean, that ain't got nothing to do with conditioning, anything. He just got his ribs broke. I mean, it's just as simple as that. But I mean, you do have a lot of fluke injuries too. You have some, and a lot of the injuries I've been noticing have been non-contact. That's what worries me. The non-contact injuries. You got guys just running down the field and tearing Achilles and stuff without even touching anybody. And that, to me, that goes back to more of what you talk about with the, just getting your body ready for the game. Because I'm going to tell you something. A lot of people, as a football player or any athlete, if you got a sore thigh, you're going to overcompensate with the rest of your leg. It's just, and that's how things get hurt. You end up hurting something because you're just overcompensating for something else. And a lot of people don't realize that, but that's a lot of what happens too.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully as we get into the season, you don't see as many injuries. Even though you will see some because of wear and tear and stuff like that, but the injuries that you're talking about as far as, people just getting injured with non-contact, hopefully those start to dissipate. So let's move on to, one of the biggest surprises. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, some people would look at me as a Brady hater. I don't consider myself a Brady hater. I just like to evaluate the whole picture, everything. I'm very specific. I'm very detailed. So when I talk about Brady, you will hear me, like pinpoint certain things and not look at the overall picture, which is what most people do. Most people say, "Oh, look, he just won a Super Bowl. He's the best quarterback in the league." And I'll say, "Well, look at when he played these teams. He got a lot of things." But anyways, besides that, he's playing amazing. Tom Brady is playing amazing right now. I will say this because I feel like I love LeBron James, but I feel like the media perpetuates a lot of what they want people to talk about, and I feel like people mimic what they hear. Same thing with LeBron James, same with Tom Brady. Tom Brady played against the Dallas Cowboys, who we all know is atrocious on defense, and the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons. We know that Tom Brady is going to kill teams that don't have good defenses. But like we saw last year, whenever he played a team that had a good defense, he struggled. And when I say struggle, I don't mean like he was throwing 5 picks, although the Saints did have his number that one game. But what I mean is he doesn't look like the Kyler Murrays. He doesn't look like the Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't look like those players against those types of teams because he's not mobile. He does rely on being able to read the defense, getting the ball out of his hand real quick. And if you have a good secondary, those teams are able to cover, and they have a good if you have a good front four, they get to him quick. He's not able to get away like those other quarterbacks are able to. So when they play teams like that, he does not play as well. His defense is what keeps the other team in the game. So it's a combination. It's not just Tom Brady, it's a combination. But I am very interested in this LA Rams game because
Oh, yeah.
LA Rams got the total package. They got the rush, they got the coverage. They got all you need on defense. They got the top. They got probably the best secondary outside of maybe the Denver Broncos, and then they got one of the best front fours and front sevens. So this here is going to like let me know like where he really is as far as at the top of all quarterbacks. Because if you, for me, if you put somebody like Kyler Murray against the Rams, while they may still lose the Cardinals, Kyler Murray gonna still run for like 78 yards, 70, 80 yards. Probably gonna still throw for about a good 250. He's gonna make things happen because he's so mobile and he can throw the ball. If that front four is getting to Tom Brady, Jalen Ramsey's not about to get beat. You know what I'm saying? I mean, those other corners are probably not going to get beat. So, like, is Gronk going to be the one that saves the day? Is he going to be able to like hit Gronk up down the middle, constantly because maybe they can't cover him? Like, what's going to be the saving grace for Tom Brady against this defense? I want to see how good he plays against them. I know I just said a lot. Give me your thoughts.
No. I mean, that makes perfect sense. Let me tell you something. If he does wreck against them, and he has a great game with no Antonio Brown, who is out this week,
I will shut my mouth.
everybody has to. Look, right now, it ain't even much to talk about now. Now, at this point, it's just,
you're right.
Look, dude, 44 years old.
Yeah.
I don't care who he played. He got 9 touchdowns in the first 2 games.
Yeah, I give you that. That's he's playing superb. Playing superb.
The dude is, and I'm looking at him like, bro. I already knew we all knew they were going to have a good offense. They won the Super Bowl last year. You got all 22 offense and defense and special teams. Got all 22 starters coming back. You gave him a whole offseason to work with what he has, and he just won a Super Bowl with it. We all knew the offense was going to be explosive. Did anybody think he was going to come out and throw 9 touchdowns in 2 weeks and look like he looked better at? I did not. I expected him to. I expected him to have a good year. And Rick, I told you. I even told you before our draft, Tom Brady gonna throw 50 touchdowns this year.
Yeah.
I didn't expect him to come out and do 10 of them in the first 2 weeks. But I mean, I guess it makes sense if he's gonna throw for 50, he was gonna have to have some games like that. But I'm just like, when is it gonna stop? Is it ever going to stop? He's now talking about playing till he's 50.
Look, I'm not going to sit up here and say that Tom Brady is not great right now. He is. He's great right now. Like, he is one of my top 5 quarterbacks.
When does it end?
But I will say this. I wouldn't say that I would have gave the number 9 or 10 or how many. But if you would have asked me at the beginning of the year, like, would Tom Brady be right there at the top quarterbacks, like top 3 in stats, with touchdowns, yards, at this point in first 2 weeks, I would have said yes, because I would have looked at who he was playing and I would have known that he was going to get the job done. Like, the drop off don't happen that fast. When we looked at Peyton Manning drop off, it was because of an injury. Tom Brady hasn't gotten injured. He just won a Super Bowl. That was just 6 months ago. The drop offs don't happen that fast. It's gradual. So I expected Tom Brady to kill it against Dallas. I expected him to kill it against Atlanta. Yes, I would have said that. I probably would have said maybe 3 touchdowns in each game. 9, that's a lot. He's on pace to break his own record. Or I think it's Peyton Manning's record. But I'm not surprised at how he's playing right now in week 2 because of what we saw in the Super Bowl right at the end of the season and what the schedule is up until this point. So no, I'm not surprised at all. To be
bro, his arm strength looks better than it did 2 years ago. Like, his arm strength is getting better as he's getting older. How does that happen?
Because that's not what's happening.
No, I know but it looks like it is. I don't know if
his arm strength is probably right at the same. The thing is, the reason why it looks better is because
he's older.
It's because 2 years ago he was playing with the Patriots and he wasn't throwing the ball down the field a lot. People thought he couldn't, but it wasn't because he couldn't. He had nobody to throw the ball down the field to. He had no deep threats. Nobody was getting open. There was no separation. You're not going to heave the ball down the field to whoever he had on his team. You will heave the ball down the field to Mike Evans because you trust in his 50-50 capabilities of getting it. You would do the same thing to Chris Godwin. You do the same thing to Antonio Brown. He didn't have nobody to do that for, so everything was underneath. And of course, if you're throwing everything underneath, people are going to think, oh, you can't do it no more. No, you ain't had nobody to throw the ball to. Julian Edelman's underneath. Everybody he had was running short routes because that's all they could do. But now he got three legit people that can take the ball, go downfield, and create their own catch. But that's not even what's happening. They're beating the defenders down the field because not only are they, you know, strong receivers as far as running routes, they're fast, they're getting separation. So his arm strength was there when he was in New England. You just never saw it because the team around him fucking sucked.
Right. Right. I give you that. I will give you that. I mean, it just blows my mind, man. It's just amazing to me that that dude's performing at this high level at his age. And I mean, I understand it's Tom Brady and all that, but no, I don't, man, come on. He's 44 freaking years old, man. I don't care what nobody says. He ain't mobile, but nobody can seem to sack him. You know,
Listen, I will concede to, looking at his age and looking at his performance and say, wow, this is incredible. It is. But at the same time, I'm not evaluating you on your age in each game. I'm evaluating you on your performance. So these first two games, he killed it. I want to see him play like that against the Rams. I want to see him play like that against Super Bowl contenders. Because last year, let's be honest, let's be all the way real. When he played against the Bears, when he played against the Saints, even the game they won against the Saints, he was very average.
Mhm.
It was a
And now
good team. And
you gave him
again,
a year to
it takes a
study.
team to win. It takes a team to win, but that's just the reality. You know what I'm saying?
I think he gonna light everybody up.
I can't hear you, man. I lost you.
You
Can you
can't
hear
hear
me?
me. Yeah,
Give us a second. We have some technical difficulties in here.
yeah, everything's still good.
Okay, I can hear you.
I don't know what happened.
It might have been me. Maybe we was recording and everything this whole time with my AirPods. Sometimes these things they just mess up. Anyways,
Gotcha.
let's move on to the next segment. Top teams. So we I know it's 2 weeks. I know it's early, but we always have some teams that come out and they look good. And we have our Super Bowl picks. We have people who think going to be good. But who are the top teams that you see in the AFC so far this year?
Um, well, obviously we know of the Chiefs. I mean, they kind of, go unsaid. I will say this: I was very impressed with Baltimore against the Chiefs this past week.
Hmm.
With all the injuries and stuff that they've had to come out and start off horrible, two picks, get down early and the comeback, have um the fortitude to stay in that game, keep their mind. Of course, Lamar Jackson had a big part to do with that. Keeping their heads together and coming back and winning that game, they look very impressive to me. Very, very impressive. Also, I'm gonna tell you who I really like how the Rams look, man. Matthew Stafford.
Well,
You know.
AFC so
Oh,
far.
I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I'm jumping all over the place.
yeah.
Surprising pick, the Vegas Raiders.
Mhm.
And that's that goes back to what we were saying earlier about 2 weeks. You don't want to jump the gun, but they look good. They actually look pretty good. Derek Carr looks good. Just watching those guys play, they look impressive, especially that defense. Um, Buffalo. I think Buffalo's going to be well. I think that first week, they kind of had that same situation that I feel like they had. Um, week one, didn't know their identity, didn't really know. I don't know what it was in week one, but Josh Allen just didn't look good. Um, the other team that I will say that I think is going to be really, really good, I mentioned them earlier. First week looked terrible, but last week looked like monsters, which is Tennessee. AJ Brown hadn't done anything yet. Julio Jones had a monster game last week, which we expected to kind of see that in week one. But I think they were still trying to get that feel for each other. And I think that's going to come and get better and better as the season goes on. And I feel like once Tannehill get that rhythm with AJ Brown and Julio, Derrick Henry going to be a problem,
Yeah.
a serious problem. So I mean that's my surprise team, to be honest with you, coming off that side is Tennessee. I think Tennessee is going to be the problem. I think they're going to be a team to reckon with.
Yeah. So I'm with you with Baltimore. You know, I think Baltimore they played very well so far. They lost to Las Vegas, but there was overtime game. Las Vegas, if what they have shown us the first 2 weeks is who they are, then they're gonna be legit. You know,
Yeah.
right now, and I'm giving my top teams based off of what I've seen these first 2 weeks.
Hmm.
You know, people are sleeping on Denver. Like people are sleeping on Denver. I know that they first 2 games against the Giants and the Jaguars, but the way they looked against the Giants and the Jaguars is what I'm
Hmm.
talking about. They look good. They always have a good defense. Like the last 5 to 7 years, you can't say anything about Denver's defense. Maybe even longer than that. Von Miller looks like he's healthy and he's back. He looks like
Hmm.
the Von Miller that we all know. Bradley Chubb ain't even been playing yet. He played last week and got hurt again, so he's not even there yet. And they're still looking good up front. And they have arguably the best secondary when it comes to corners and safeties. So Denver is tough, and they're 2-0. They got Teddy Bridgewater, who people want to call him a game manager, but he can throw that ball when he needs to. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Jerry Judy got hurt. Cortland Sutton showed you that they don't need him, even though they do when it comes down to playing other teams. But Tim Patrick's a deep field threat. Ken Hamler's a deep field threat, and they got two bona fide running backs that they sharing with. One is a power bruiser type, and Javante Williams he's a power bruiser type too, but he's fast. So they got everything you need to contend. And people sleeping on them. And to be honest with you, the other team like Tennessee, I mean I think Tennessee just because of sheer weakness in their schedule as far as who they play in the division that they're in, they're going to be up there. But I don't see them as a contender, not just yet. I need to see more from that defense.
Yeah, I agree with
They're
that.
going to eventually get it together with AJ Brown and the rest of that offense. But the Browns, like the Browns hold if they hold off and don't turn the ball over in the Kansas City game, they
They
2-0,
win. Right.
and they played well against the Texans, but they played excellent against Kansas City outside of that, the little mistake that they made or whatever. So
And they ain't
um
even had Odell.
those 4 teams they are the teams those are the teams that look the best so far. They may not be the teams that lead up to being the best later on, but so far those are the 4 teams that I'm looking at as top teams based on the way that they look. Um, Buffalo looks average to me right now. They played a weak Miami team who didn't have their starting quarterback, and I know they put up points against that defense of Miami, but I don't like the way they look right now. Josh Allen, he maybe just getting a slow start, but we'll see. I think they're gonna be a top team when it all said and done, but just these first 2 weeks they look a little different. NFC, see that's what in Kansas City. I didn't mention them, but of course Kansas City they always look great.
It was understood.
Yeah. Um, and I want to say this about AFC West. Like people talking about the NFC West, being the best division. And right now, I will say that they are. But again, if Las Vegas is legit and Denver continues to play the way they playing, then you got Kansas City, you got the Chargers. The Chargers look good too.
Hmm.
So like those 4 teams, they stacked in the AFC West. So that's gonna be that's a tough division. NFC East, man.
NFC East.
I mean NFC. I'm sorry, NFC. Honestly, I mean, I don't know how you're gonna feel about this, but the whole NFC West looked great. The whole NFC West looked great, like
I know.
hands down. Whole NFC West looked great, and then Carolina and Tampa Bay. That's it. That's all I got in the NFC. Green Bay, they look like trash. It look like Green Bay look like trash against a good defense, and they look great against the worst defense in the league. Because to me, Detroit right now is the worst defense in the league. Chicago, they don't look like they too many questions about what Justin Fields is gonna actually look like. We
Yeah.
know Andy Dalton is not that guy. The NFC East, I don't need to even speak on that. And then the South, like the Saints, who we don't know what they are yet on offense.
I don't think they do either.
You know what I'm saying? So I can't say that they're a top team, even though they got a top defense. If we would have had this conversation after week 1, I would have said the Saints. But then after that performance to Carolina, I'm like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? So Carolina, Tampa Bay, and the whole NFC West, they look great right now.
I mean, I don't have a whole lot that I can say about that because everything you said, I mean, it's the truth. I will tell you a team out of the East that I do like that has impressed me in the first couple of weeks, the Eagles.
Mhm.
I was very impressed with the Eagles. I know You know, they look good after week 1, and they didn't look great, but they still contended. We pretty much, I mean, 49ers, people back there. But we dominated them, but they still didn't look bad. We didn't just beat them. You know, that defense for Philadelphia is a lot better than you may think. You know, and I think Jalen Hurts.
His defense is good.
I know.
Hands down, they're
but
good.
to me, like from last year to this year, and maybe it was a lot of injuries and the COVID season and stuff. Philadelphia defense looked terrible last year.
Yeah, last year.
I know,
but they said is why. What you said is why.
Yeah, because they got the same people for the most part. They just look a whole lot better.
They had a lot of injuries last year. Like
and I figured
on the offensive side, the offensive line, they had a lot of injuries on defense. And that's actually been the last couple of years.
Yeah, and to me, they look legit. I mean, I like Philly. I think Jalen Hurts is legit. I mean, as far as right now, he looked pretty legit to me. He's making all the throws. I mean, making good decisions. Like I said, I watched that game with him against the 49ers, and he looked good. I mean, I was impressed. Didn't make a lot of mistakes. I like Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia is that team that's probably, if I had to pick, gonna come out the East.
So I say this. I will say this because I agree with your assessment on Philadelphia. I agree that they look good, and if I had to pick right now, I would say Philly is going to represent the East in the playoffs. They're going to win the East,
right?
But let's say the 6 teams that I just said. Well, we're going to have 7 teams in the playoffs this year, right?
Yep. Extra wild card.
Which one of those teams they beaten? Maybe Carolina, because we don't know where Carolina. They played 3. They played. Well, Saints is a good team, so I can't say they played 3 weeks and they play really good at Saints. But Carolina is what they look like all year. I would say Carolina would be the team that maybe they could beat, but they're not. They don't look good enough to beat any of those teams in the West, and they're not. They're not going to beat Tampa Bay. And me saying that, me bringing it up is why I say they're not a top team. I am impressed with them. I do think they look good, and I do think they probably will represent the East. Notice I didn't pick nobody in the North. Somebody gonna win that too.
Yeah. No, but I mean, and not even saying, I just feel like they can compete. And I feel like right now, they've competed the first 2 weeks. They got a second-year quarterback, got a second-year wide receiver, got a rookie wide receiver. And I think as the year goes on, if they're in these games, those youngsters gonna start to figure out how to win them.
Yeah.
Let's keep in mind that the youngsters that we're talking about, I can't speak too much on Jalen Reagor, but I know Devontae Smith and also Jalen Hurts, they're winners. They know how to win games. And if they figure it out, which they already look good, I mean, I think they can compete with that defense. It's all about that defense. When you got a good defense like they have, you can always compete.
I agree with that. So let's move on to surprises. Now, this is going to be an interesting segment because I'm going to give some surprises that's not surprises to me, but they surprises to other people maybe, because I called this before the season started. I'm going to call this little segment for myself, cashing in these receipts. I keep the receipts. I remember what I say. And I'm going to start with Sam Darnold. I said this on our show. I said that the Jets made a mistake. I said people looking at Sam Darnold like he was the problem. I said the problem is the Jets. I said they never put anything around him.
Mm-hmm.
I said instead of trading Sam Darnold, they should have taken those picks and continue to build around him with draft picks so he can actually have somebody to throw to, so he can actually have some offense around him. They didn't do their due diligence. Now, 1 year, and I know it's just 2 games, but if you look at Sam Darnold, he looks like an NFL quarterback. It's not just he's managing the game and then Christian McCaffrey is killing it. No, Sam Darnold has thrown for 300 yards in every game, at least 2 out of the 3. So he's throwing the ball to his receivers as well. It's not the Christian McCaffrey show. People looking at Christian McCaffrey because yes, he is getting touches and he's making things happen with him. Christian McCaffrey hasn't run for over 100 yards yet. Christian McCaffrey, I don't think has caught for over 100 yards yet.
He didn't even play this last game, basically.
Exactly. But DJ Moore killing it. Who's throwing him the ball? You know what I'm saying? Sam Darnold killed the Saints defense. People want to talk about the Saints on offense. Carolina still put up 27, 26 points against one of the top defenses in the league. Now, granted, Marshawn Lattimore was out. Davenport was out. They did have some injuries. I get that. But it don't matter. He still did it. So, Sam Darnold, surprise to y'all, not to me. Mac Jones. I said on this show, Mac Jones is probably the most pro-ready quarterback right now. I said that the Jets shouldn't draft Zach Wilson. I said that 49ers, I understand why they're getting Trey Lance, but Mac Jones, I think, would be ready to step in right now, even before Garoppolo, and be a really good quarterback where I think Trey Lance would probably have a curve and he would still do well because he had his legs and stuff, but he may take a little bit more time because he has to, adjust. But I'm not saying Mac Jones was the best quarterback, but look what he's doing in New England Patriots. He took the job. Nobody thought he was going to be starting this year. I didn't even think that. But he took the job from Cam Newton. And when you see him play, he's poised. He's making good throws. He's making good decisions. He's not turning the ball over. And I think New England probably will be a wild card playoff team this year, especially if Miami is terrible. Like, we all thought Miami was going to take another step up. But so far, and with Tua hurt, they don't look good at all without Tua. But even with Tua, they only look okay on offense. The defense is their strength. So Mac Jones is looking good. People probably not very surprised because he took over for Cam Newton, and people were probably like, okay, well, if Belichick gonna have him starting, he must be doing good. But when the draft started, when it was in the draft, I was like, there's no way this guy should fall as far down as he fell. Like, he is ready to go. Nobody gave him credit because he was throwing to these two studs and Jalen Waddle and Devonta Smith. But Mac Jones, he's showing you. That's another receipt right there. I got some more receipts, but I'm going to go ahead and let you jump in because I could talk all day.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I got one for sure. And I'm going to tell you, I've been saying it not only just on this show, I've been saying it for years. Derek Carr can ball. I've been saying it, and I've been saying it. I've been drafting him every year in fantasy, hoping that it'll show. The problem was his whole career, all he's had is Amari Cooper. And guess what? The last couple of years, he didn't even have that. The dude can play. In the 1 year where Amari Cooper balled, he had a good defense. Guess what? They were Super Bowl contenders until he hurt his back. They were one of the best teams in the league. Everybody's surprised by what Vegas is doing. I am too a little bit, but I am not at all surprised by what Derek Carr is doing.
Yeah.
Not at all. I've always told you, and that's one thing I can say, that's a receipt, signed, sealed, delivered. I have steadfast with Derek Carr since he came into the league. And after his first couple of years, I was always high on Derek Carr. You tell me a lot of the time, man, I don't know. But we never got anything to see from him. And you even said he shows flashes. Mm-hmm. Well, when you're great, but you don't have a lot, that's what tends to happen. You show flashes because you still got it. But when you don't have nobody to get it to, it tends to be a problem. He looked great last year with just Darren Waller. And so far, Jalen, who is it? Not Jalen Waddle, I'm sorry. Who does he have that he just got this year or last year?
Henry Ruggs.
Henry Ruggs looking a lot better this year than he did last year. Obviously, he was a rookie, but that's a lot to do with Derek Carr and John Gruden. You got to give him his props because 4 or 5 years ago, everybody was
training camp. They had time to get together and all this stuff.
But everybody said he was nuts a couple of years ago. What the hell is he doing? John Gruden is a fool. Okay, you don't look too much like a fool right now. So I mean, with that being said, I mean that's Las Vegas Raiders is probably my biggest surprise so far this year. Nobody is gonna tell me they knew Vegas was gonna come out playing the way they playing. It's just not. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, go ahead.
But other than that, I mean, the other surprise team to me right now, I would have to say is Denver. Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater is good. Nobody knew Teddy Bridgewater was even going to start the year until about a week before the season. I mean, people speculated. If you're a real sports person, you probably figured he was going to beat out Drew Lock. We didn't know. You didn't know for sure. So, I mean, I didn't know what we were going to get from Denver. Melvin Gordon looked like he still got a little bit left in the tank. I really thought he was done. I mean, like, really done. The receivers, like you said, with Cortland Sutton, he didn't do much in week 1. But Jerry Jeudy was killing it. And, of course, it's like he just replaced him. And they got 3 good receivers, like you said, Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton. And what's the other kid's name? KJ Hamler. So I mean, they look good, and they like you said, they got good running backs. I'm very impressed with Denver. And that defense, I didn't know what we were going to get out of, you know, Bradley Chubb. Obviously, what's his name?
Miller.
Von Miller. We didn't know if he was going to be healthy, ever be healthy again. I think he'd been injured the last 2 years. So I mean, to expect them, they're surprising me. Them and the Vegas are the surprise of the NFL for me right now.
Yeah. And I would throw one more surprise in there for me is
Carolina.
defense.
Yeah, Carolina. Carolina in general.
In general, but especially their defense. Because defense, if the defense wasn't playing as well, they I mean, maybe they still 3-0, maybe they're not. But they're like number one in most major statistical defensive categories.
And they were terrible last year.
Exactly. So that is definitely a huge surprise for me is the Carolina defense. Um, but yeah, and I know we got some more surprises coming up. A surprise, I'm not even gonna say that. That's more of me being pissed off at the way things happening. It's talking about fantasy. Talk about the Cowboys and the surprise of Pollard getting all these touches. Taken away from Ezekiel Elliott because I have Ezekiel Elliott on my team and I didn't draft him number 4 for that. I thought he was gonna be back to Zeke getting 24-25 carries, but that's not a surprise.
I got him too, bro. I'm out of the league. I feel your pain.
So let me not even go there. But let's go ahead and jump to our Super Bowl picks to round out this segment of just talking about the NFL. You know what? This is really tough to really say at the beginning of this year with 2 weeks. Some teams were really looking good, and it's hard to like just narrow it down. But for me, NFC, I'm gonna have to say the Rams. Matthew Stafford is totally different than Jared Goff. And I know everybody felt that way, but when you is one thing when you like, oh, this is what's gonna happen, and then you start to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
And Matthew Stafford, we know he can throw the ball, but the way that connection him and Cooper Kupp have, and then he's throwing the ball to Van Jefferson, he's throwing the ball to Robert Woods, he's throwing the ball to Darrell Henderson. Darrell Henderson should have been used like this more with Jared Goff, but he wasn't. Not just running the ball, but used as a back. I mean, a receiver, and Stafford is doing that. Tyler Higbee, like they have weapons, defense. They have, oh man, that's when you look at the totality of the defense, they have the best corner in the league and the best defensive end in the league on the same squad.
And guess what? That defensive end you just named, he's the best defensive player on any position.
Exactly.
Defensive tackle, defensive end. You put him at nose guard, you put him at linebacker. He's the best player on the field, and he can play all of them.
Exactly.
Doesn't it suck to have a player when you go to play a defense? You automatically say, okay, I got to reserve 3 people for him. Exactly. Okay, so now we already short. Now it's already 10-8. Okay, so now we got to figure out how we going to compensate on having 2 people free on the defense every play, because we got to put 3 people on this cat, and it's amazing. And then you can only throw the one half of the field. Dude, I mean,
this is the thing. This is the thing that makes the Rams so dangerous. Is not they're not using Jalen Ramsey like that anymore.
Oh, it's different. He's a rover.
You don't know where he's going to be now. So you just can't focus on throwing to the right side of the field because he may line up on the right, he may line up on the left. He may move.
He's been in the slot and stuff.
Exactly. So
he never did that.
Exactly. He loves it. He said he loves it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, he rocking people.
So
rocking people.
I mean, the Rams. I know the Tampa Bay Bucks are the favorite, and rightfully so. They won it last year. But man, we just look at the Rams. It's hard to say somebody's gonna beat them.
I can.
You can see the deficiencies in Tampa Bay. That's that pass defense. That's a huge hole. Their pass defense is not good.
It's not. It's really not.
You don't see any holes when it comes to the Rams. And my Super Bowl pick on the AFC, so I already know who your Super Bowl pick. You're so biased, man.
Like, I'm not biased.
You are biased.
They are the most complete looking team besides the Rams.
Besides the Rams, that means that the Rams right now are better. Anyway,
we will see when we play them.
Let me pick my AFC pick. My AFC pick, I can't go with nobody else but the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, I could pick a dark horse, but just who I think is going to represent the AFC, it's going to be Kansas City. I can't see nobody getting past them, beating them in the playoffs, and them going to the Super Bowl, get to the Super Bowl. And when you talk about getting to the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes is the one quarterback that I feel like will be able to make create miracles to beat a team like the Rams. But what he's able to do with throwing the ball, the accuracy, the weapon he has in Tyreek Hill, the weapon he has in Kelsey, how he uses McCole Hardman. I think CH will probably play a more of a role, than he's played so far when he gets to teams that have defenses like that. I just think Patrick Mahomes is too much for anybody. So yeah, KC, Rams, Kansas City with the Super Bowl. Go ahead.
See, of course, I'm gonna go ahead and give my AFC pick because when I dive into my NFC pick, since I'm biased, I'm gonna give you all the justifications behind it. And I see I see your face. It's not biased. Yeah. It's not. But I'm gonna give you my reasons why. Uh-huh. First of all, my AFC pick, a lot of people would say Kansas City, but I feel like Baltimore beating them early in the season is going to help them later on down the road. And I feel like getting over that hump is going to help Lamar Jackson in the playoffs this year and I think it's going to come down to that, but I feel like it's going to be Baltimore. I think this is the year, if they can get healthy and they can play well on defense, because the strategy they had against Kansas City on just shutting down Tyreek Hill, and we going to make Kelsey and them run the ball to beat us. That's what they're going to have to do. Didn't work that well as they got going. And of course, we're going to go to my NFC pick. Yes, it's the 49ers. But I'm going to give you why. Like you talked about with the Rams and on defense. Yes, they have, I will say, the two best defensive players in the league on their team. Feel like I could honestly say.
Wait. The two best or two of the best?
No, the two best.
Oh, you're talking about in their positions?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, who do you think? Who would you put above them two?
Well, Joey Bosa, I know you're talking about one at the linebacker position.
No, Nick, you talking about my boy?
Yeah. No, Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa.
No, he's not. No. What I'm talking about is Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey are the two best defensive players in the league.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I thought you said on your team.
No, on the Rams. They have the two best defensive players in the NFL.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of very, very good ones. Not just two.
Well, no, they do too.
No, hold on. I'm getting there.
Okay, go ahead.
You because I knew that's what you were gonna say. They do have some other damn good players. But when it comes down to the totality of the defense, we did have an injury with Jason Verrett, and I feel like that affected us a little bit. And if Josh Norman can come in and play halfway decent, I know. But he's looked good. He looked good last week. He did. Yeah. But I don't need him to play as good as Jason Verrett. I just need him to do okay. I just need him to play decent enough. And you know this, we got one of the best defenses in the league, arguably. There's not many teams in the league that you're going to say got a better defense within the 49ers. The defensive front, I don't think no team in the league has a better defensive front than we do. I mean, all the way across, 4-4, whichever way you want to look at it, we got the best defensive front. You don't think so?
I can't say you have the best. It's very close between Tampa and the Rams.
What?
All y'all defensive fronts are like A1. Even when we talk about just defensive fronts, even the Saints have an amazing defensive front.
Well, let's say front. Let's go front seven. We'll go front seven.
When you add the 7 in there, then it's still between the Rams and Bucks and y'all. It's hard to say who has the best because they're all excellent.
Right. Well, it's one thing I feel like we have an advantage over the Bucks and the Rams. We run the ball better than both of them. Yeah, it looks good when you're throwing the ball all over the place and everything, but you can't do it if they're not on the field. And that's what we hang our hats on. We play defense, and we can throw the ball. Let's be clear about that. We can. We have not even started or opened up our offense to what it's going to be or what it can be as this season progresses. What you see now out of the 49ers is just a transitioning period.
So what you saying that is one of the reasons why I can't buy into that just yet. Because when Trey Lance comes, If he's able to do what everybody is expecting, that is huge. But I have to see it first.
And I agree with you, but I'm not even talking about just him.
To me,
I don't
that's the
know.
wild. To me, that is
He
the
is the
wild
wild
card.
card, but Brandon Ayuk ain't played yet. He's been out the first 2 weeks basically
But
with a hamstring. I
you're
mean,
right. But to
he
me,
got on the field, but
but we know what Brandon Ayuk is, so we can plug him in and say he's healthy. When he's healthy, when Debo's healthy, when George Kittle's healthy, we know what that offense looks like. We just don't know what it looks like with Trey Lance yet.
right.
That
And
that
it's
that right
but
there could be the wild card into where we say, you know what, really can't nobody stop this team. Because when I look at Tampa, I feel like what the Rams offers on defense can stop them because of the pressure that they can apply to Tom Brady. When the reason why I chose Kansas City is because we've seen his greatness under that kind of pressure, and he's
mhm.
still able to make plays. That's why I say Trey Lance for me is the wild card, because if he can show that he can make plays under that kind of pressure, and you can't stop him because he's accurate, he's throwing the ball down the field with that big arm he has, he's too fast and elusive, he's getting away from people, then I'm going to be like, okay, we got a whole nother conversation. So for me, I have to see that first when I'm talking about winning the Super Bowl. The reality of it is we don't know yet. That's why I can't put them there yet. But I understand why you put them there, because that's your team.
No, not because it's my team. Because I really feel like they're the best team in the NFC. I do. Do the Rams? Yes, I do feel like the Rams are great, but I feel like we can go toe to toe with them. I feel like we got the defense to stop them. One thing I will say, and a lot of people don't. Cooper Cup and Robert Woods are monsters.
Mhm.
Guess what? They don't do very well. Play bump and run coverage. That's why teams, when they do shut them down and when they do beat them, that's usually what happens. They can't get off coverage. That don't happen too often, but it happens.
That's
It happens. That's Jared Goff need open receivers. He needed
they
somebody
don't
not
have
to
they don't have
no
Jared Goff no more though.
no listen to me. He needs open receivers. A lot of the times why he struggled because they couldn't get open. Matthew Stafford can
So
throw people open. He's a different animal. So they're going to look even better. But my argument with that is if you can play solid defense and put press coverage and maybe even get some pressure on Matt Stafford, because we ain't seen that yet. I think the Rams can be had. They ain't been dominating and
you
just
say
killing.
it, that is you're right. I agree with that. They haven't just been dominating, but they've won convincingly. It hasn't been close. Like they have, like there was no doubt that they were going to win those games. There wasn't like a game where they were like, even against the Colts, they just been playing really well. But my point, what I'm about to say to you is, I don't think there's a team that's going to be able to compete with them that has what you're saying as far as the secondary that's going to be able to do that. Y'all secondary don't have enough corners that can provide that type of press coverage to stop Robert Woods, Cooper Cup, and Van Jefferson. The only secondary that I think really has that is Denver, and I don't think they're going to be in the Super
I'll
Bowl.
be honest with you. If they show me they can run, if the Rams show me they can run the ball, this conversation will change for me. But right now, I've seen them throw it around the yard, but they still don't have a consistent running game. And as long
I
as you
agree
don't
with
have a
that.
consistent running game, I don't feel like you're going to beat the 49ers. If you can't run the ball, you will not beat us. That's how I feel. I strongly feel that way. I know you think I'm just
No, no,
biased,
no, 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 no,
but
no.
but
What you just said makes sense. I agree
when
with that.
when it
I agree
comes
with
to the
that.
Rams, they're the only team I feel like can beat us right now. And they can, but I don't think they will if they can't run the ball. Because when you can't run the ball, you shadow away what the defensive efficiencies that you have in the secondary. You got to be able to run the ball. Because if you ain't, they're gonna put 4 in the box and they're gonna put 8 in the secondary to help the weaknesses.
Yeah.
I mean, so and that's my thing. So that's the biggest thing that's my sole reason as to why I got Baltimore and the 49ers. It's gonna be a rematch of the Super Bowl from a few years ago with Kaepernick. Remember, I'm saying this first year with Kaepernick. Well, maybe it was the first year. I
Yeah.
think we went to
When
the Super
when the
Bowl. We
lights went
played
out.
Baltimore. We got the same thing going on with Trey Lance. After about week 5, he's gonna be starting. We're gonna go on a crazy run. We're gonna end up in the Super Bowl. It's gonna be the 2 running quarterbacks with Lamar Jackson and Trey Lance. I'm calling all of it.
That'll be
Signed, sealed,
great. That'll
delivered.
be that'll be an amazing story. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that'll be a great NFL story.
And then we're gonna bust their head in the Super Bowl.
All right. So your picks, Baltimore, and why does that keep happening? Baltimore and San
The
Francisco
49ers.
and the 49ers winning it. All right.
I can tell you why that's happening. If you're bumping anything,
That's what it's doing. And I know that's
that's
when I said it,
because
I
you remember it used to do it to mine.
yeah. So let's round this off with our fantasy. Even though we don't have a fantasy show anymore, we want to still have this element of fantasy. So for week 4, all right, week 4, next week's, this is dropping on Monday, and these are our early top picks in each position for daily fantasy for those people who are playing daily fantasy. So let's start off with our QBs. My top 2 QBs for the week. Now, of course, we already know we can always pick the best QBs, okay? But I'm looking at, you know, cost efficiency, the possibility of having a ceiling, a boom game, and I look at Justin Fields against the Lions. He's going to be starting that game because Andy Dalton's out for at least a few games. I don't know how many he may be out, but Justin Fields is going to get his feet wet this week against the Browns. That's going to be a tough game for him, and he's going to play the Lions the week after, which is, like I said, in my opinion, the worst defensive league. And Taylor Heineke. Before you say anything, let me explain. Taylor Heineke, okay? Taylor, yes, I said it, okay? Against the Giants, who have a pretty good defense.
I'm in a minute.
336 yards, 336 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Now, Taylor Heineke, while he's not a household name, he's going to be very, very cheap. And and they are playing the Falcons. That's the main reason.
Mhm.
So I like Taylor Heineke for DFS play as well as Justin Fields at the quarterback position. Who you got?
Well, guys, I'm gonna give y'all a different pick since he stole both of mine, not intentionally, but he stole both of mine. Yes, I was looking crazy at you for Heineke because I was gonna pick him too. That's the reason I was looking at you crazy, not because he was a crazy pick. I actually think he's a freaking awesome pick. Um, but I'm gonna give y'all one that a lot of people. He has been playing great, and he has a great matchup coming up next week. Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's playing the Cowboys. They have not shown that they can stop anybody on defense. And Christian McCaffrey is going to be out for several weeks. Guess what they're going to have to do? Throw the ball and probably throw it a lot. And I like the way Sam Darnold looks. And of course, he's playing against, like I say, the Cowboys. So that's one of my sleeper picks. And I just gave that one because my other two, he already said them. So, I mean, if I always feel like if you're playing DFS, this is just a piece of advice from me. If you can, you pay down for quarterbacks and you pay up for your skill positions. So if you can find you a quarterback that you think can get you 18 to 25 fantasy points, that's the guy you probably should go with if he's really cheap. That's going to be Heineke this week or next week. He'll be that guy. So I definitely think he's a great play. But like I said, Justin Fields, I think he'll still be cheap. He'll be a great play. And depending on Sam Darnold's cost and what he is next week, I think he'll be a great play also.
Okay. Who you got for running back?
Oh man. Whew. We're gonna piggyback right off the same team. Antonio Gibson. He has not played that great the first couple of weeks. He's not looked bad. He hadn't looked bad. I know he's splitting carries a little bit, but I think this will be his breakout game. I think everybody has a breakout game against the Falcons. So I feel like this will be his game. He is definitely my top pick at running back. The next pick is kind of difficult, but it sounds like you're kind of picking on the Lions and the Falcons, but I am. Okay. So I'm gonna be clear. I like David Montgomery. Also, those will be my top 2 running back picks, and I can almost guarantee you they'll both be cheap. Antonio Gibson, not as much as David Montgomery, but they will both be on the inexpensive side, which I think will be very important. Those are my 2 running back picks. I'll let you take it from here, bro.
Yeah, I'm with you on David Montgomery. That was also one of my picks. But my second pick is going to be Chuba Hubbard. Christian McCaffrey is hurt. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that you said that they're going to throw the ball a lot, but I don't think the initial game plan is going to be to throw the ball a lot. I think the initial game plan is going to be to do the same thing that they've done with Christian McCaffrey, which
Yeah.
is why they drafted Chuba Hubbard, because Chuba Hubbard is a good receiver out the backfield as well. Not as good as Christian McCaffrey. He's the best. He's pretty much a wide receiver as well as a running back, but he can catch the ball out of the backfield, and he can run the ball. And if you paid attention to how they used him when they lost Christian McCaffrey against the Texans, he pretty much was the dominant running back. Royce
And he
Freeman
looked
came in
good.
and ran a little bit, but Royce Freeman didn't look good. Chuba Hubbard looked pretty good,
Hmm.
and he's probably going to be the bell cow for them. So he's probably going to be a little expensive than normal because people are going to look. They're probably going to price him as if he's going to get the workload of Christian McCaffrey. So don't be surprised if his price is high. I'm not saying grab him anyway, but if his price is not high, yes, he may be a chalk play, but he'll be probably be a necessary play. Probably be a very high percentage that he's in an optimal lineup. Um, and I will throw as a side, person that since you said David Montgomery, I know the Jets are terrible in general, and their run defense is not extremely bad, but they're playing against the Titans, and I'll put my money on Derrick Henry. So if you're looking to pay up for running back, I think Derrick Henry has the best matchup. The other running backs I don't like their choices. I don't like Minnesota's options. I think Minnesota they're playing against. They have a good matchup. Minnesota's playing against who is the Vikings playing against?
I
The
think they may
Browns.
have a bye
They're
week.
playing against the
The
Browns.
Browns.
Yeah, Vikings playing against the Browns. The Saints, Alvin Kamara, they're playing against the Giants, but I'm not sold on the offense. So anyway, I won't keep going through that. I gave you our picks. Wide receiver. I really like Debo Samuel in week 4. Debo Samuel is leading the NFL in targets, and I think receptions as well. Maybe not receptions, but targets for sure. I think they're playing against the Seahawks. That's going to be a game where there's going to be I think that is going to be a high scoring game. I know that 49ers have a good defense, but Russell Wilson is going to chunk that ball. They're going to be throwing it to Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, probably going to get the tight ends involved. When I say high scoring, I don't mean like 30 to 40 something. I mean, like it's going to be a high 20s game to low 30s game. Um, and Debo with Jimmy Garoppolo has been amazing this year, you know, and Jimmy Garoppolo is still going to be the quarterback at this point. So I think Debo has an excellent opportunity. And my second wide receiver is Cooper Cup. Man, I can't go away from him. We'll see how they play against the Bucks week 3, but in week 4 he's going against the Cardinals. Cardinals, while they had a great defensive game against Tennessee, that was pretty much Chandler Jones. And
Yeah.
overall, the Cardinals defense, I don't think they're great, like as a whole. And the Rams are going to put up points against them, just like the Cardinals are probably going to probably put up some points against the Rams. And I think Cooper Cup is going to have an excellent game against the Cardinals. So I like Debo Samuel and Cooper Cup for my top wide receivers for this week.
Well, I'm gonna give you two that's gonna be pretty obvious. But I think they're both gonna be they're gonna be top 5 wide receivers this week. And I don't think you'll have to, I mean, they're gonna be priced, but they'll be priced favorable, I think. And that's gonna be Terry McLaurin and also Stephon Diggs going against the Texans. I think Diggs is going, he's been playing well. He's been giving you decent fantasy numbers. I think this is going to be that week where he can give you 20, 25. I could see 100 yards and a touchdown or two from Stephon Diggs playing against the Texans. I wouldn't be surprised about that at all. So those are my top 2 wide receivers for week 4.
Ooh. And who are your top 2 defenses so we can go ahead and round this out?
Man, honestly, for that week, it's going to be a tough one, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm high on the Bears. I think the Bears are going against the Lions. Jared Goff didn't look very good last week. He looked okay the week before, but watching week 2, I'm like, there he is. There he is. You came back. There you go. And I was like, okay, maybe Jared Goff, like, I got something to prove, man. Y'all gonna trade me? Talking about you wanted to equal and not a student. I'm gonna come out here and wreck. No, I was wrong. No. It was a trick. So I think the Bears defense is going to be very strong. I'm gonna tell you the other team to look at. They have a really good defense, but they haven't played like it this year. The Colts, Indianapolis Colts against the Miami Dolphins. I think the Colts will look this coming week like they should have, like we all expected them to look the first few weeks.
I'm with you on the Bears. Anytime you play against the Lions, I feel like that's a defense you want to play against. but not necessarily because I just think the Bears is a really good defense, and the Lions they not a terrible offense, but
They're pretty bad.
they're gonna put some pressure on Jared Goff. But the Titans, while they don't have a great defense, they're playing against the Jets, and Zach Wilson is a turnover machine so far in his career. If you put a little pressure on him, he's gonna make some mistakes. So I feel like the Titans, they're going to be a cheap defense. They may be priced up against the Jets, but the Titans are also playing against right now they're really cheap. Like for week 3 on DraftKings, they're 2,400. Now on FanDuel, they're like 4,500. So I think they recognize the matchup. But the Titans are playing, they have a weak matchup this particular week, and they didn't get price adjusted. Yeah, they're playing against the Colts. When I say weak matchup, they're playing against Jacob Eason, not Carson Wentz,
What?
because Carson Wentz is hurt.
He's playing.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. He's going to
Are
play
you,
today. I'm
are you positive?
100%. 100%.
Okay.
I read it this morning.
That just happened this morning then, because the expectation was that Jacob Eason was playing. So that's why I chose the Titans as the defense for this particular for week 3. But for
Hmm.
week 4, I still feel like the Titans are a good defense against the Jets because again, Zach Wilson, turnover machine so far. And that's probably going to continue to happen a little bit more before it stops because he's still learning.
Hmm.
So
And he
Titans
only throwing to one person, so they know where the ball's going.
exactly Corey Davis.
Right.
So anyways, those are our DFS picks for week 4. Pay attention to injury reports, pay attention to, after week 3. This is an early report. This not does not include people who may not play because of injury or if they get hurt. So make sure you do your research on your DFS. Don't blame us if you lose money. Again, this is like a pre-report, up to week 4. Um,
And
so
just to add, if you blame us, we don't care.
you're right. We don't care. All right. You got anybody holding this L? And it could be for the last 2 months because we hadn't met for a while. So you got anybody that's holding the L?
Michael Rappaport.
Yeah.
I ain't forgot. Forever. Forever means forever. Every season, every show, you're getting it. I still haven't forgiven you yet. Right now, I don't have anybody holding the L as a single individual. Me and you kind of touched on this earlier, but my holding this L goes to the Carolina Panthers for coming out and running Christian McCaffrey in the ground in the first 3 weeks.
The coach, you can't get a whole L to the team. Give it to the coach. You said it was the coach.
The coach on down. Everybody fought. Everybody fought. Even the players. You need to go tell them to get him out the game. I don't know what it is, but have you Carolina? I just want to put this out there. Did y'all see Saquon Barkley got hurt last year? You see how the Giants working him back in? You see these players who get hurt and they kind of working them back in, not giving them a full workload. Your running back played 3 games last year. 3. And you put him in at the start of this season and got him getting the ball every freaking time. Work him in, man. Work him in. And even when you get a 21-point lead, I'm going to just say it. You get a 20-point lead with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, you probably want to go ahead and sit your horse. I'm just saying, especially coming off an injury from last year. Hey, maybe I think I'm a genius and I know it all, but that seemed like it should be pretty obvious to me, Carolina. I'm just saying.
I feel you. So I got two L's because it's been a cumulative amount of time. Look at me trying to use big words. I'm saying the word wrong and using it the wrong way because it's been a lot of time like that. A lot of time. I got 2 L's. The first one is Russell Westbrook. I love Russell Westbrook. I'm glad he went to the Lakers, but that dress, like that outfit he wore, that's an L all day long, all day, every day. It's not even because it was a dress. It's mostly because he wore a dress. I know we in these different times. It's 2021. Everybody, whatever. I listen. Hey, I still got my opinion, and and my opinion is right there along with a lot of other people's opinion that looked ridiculous. So the Russell Westbrook, you got an L for that, man. And then the second one is the first week of the college football season, LSU against UCLA. Max Johnson threw a pass away behind his back because he didn't want to get tackled. Now, let me try to paint this picture for you. If you get a chance, go on YouTube, type in LSU Max Johnson, behind the back pass, something. It's probably going to come up. But
immediately,
he's getting pressured, and he turns around and runs the opposite way, and then he flips the ball back behind him like this in this motion. He does not know where the ball is going. He just flips it. It was the worst attempt at trying to get rid of the ball that I have ever seen in my life. This is something that you probably would see on a middle school team, maybe high school. But I never even seen a high school quarterback do that. Like, he looked like he was about to die. He was scared for his life. I've been saving this L for so long. Like, I gotta mention, I don't care if we don't do another show for 3 years. He getting this L. I'm gonna bring this up. That was ridiculous.
Oh my God.
Now, since then, he's come back. He's played well. LSU, they've won 3 straight games. Great. But this will never be something that you can live down, Max Johnson. You could win the Heisman and get drafted number 1 like Josh Burrows and win Super Bowls in the NFL. I will never forget that. I don't care. If I ever meet you, that's the first thing I'm going to say. Why the hell you threw that ball behind your back? Just take the sack. Take the goddamn sack, man. Take the damn sack.
And look, I'm going to put it out there for all our LSU fans. I'm laughing so hard I can't even keep my composure. For all our LSU fans, he was emotional. Everybody, for all y'all who like to nitpick stuff, we know it's Joe Burrow. You said Josh Burrow. But I just want to put that out there because for all the Louisiana people who love Joe Burrow or want to come on here talking about, did he say Burrow name wrong? No, he was just excited. He knows Burrow's real name. He's a true LSU fan. I just want to put that out there.
Ain't nobody gonna come out here and say nothing because if they try to get on me on saying his name wrong, even though it was clearly a mistake on my part, I will run you down with stats from LSU from years past that you don't even know about because half of y'all fake fans anyway. All right. With that being said, that's all we got for this week. We appreciate y'all. We're back. We'll be back every Sunday.
Glad to be back.
Dropping our episodes every Monday morning. Please like, subscribe, tell your family and friends. And hey, if you want to get on the show, let us know. We can hook it up to where we bring you on and we can get that debate going and get your thoughts on what you think we should be talking about.
There's absolutely nobody who can't get it. If you think you know better, well, I just warn you, when you come home, you're gonna get it. You're going to get it. Don't be sensitive to your feelings and think you're going to get on this show and it's going to be okay. So make sure you tough-skinned if you decide to come on and debate with us.
Well, that's all we got for you today. I am Cappel.
And I'm Lonnie.
And this is Hold This L.
Peace.